Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is going to be my Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare, kind of like reading vlog type, just kind of talking about the book as I'm reading it. So my copy finally arrived on Friday the 19th. It's currently Monday, March the 22nd. I was going to originally read this on Friday when I first got it, but then I remember that there was Becca's 48-hour like bookathon thing, and I didn't want to pick up a 650-page book for that because I knew I wouldn't finish it for it. But now that is over with, and I'm going to be reading this. And it is also a signed edition, my first signed Cassandra Clare book. So I'm so excited to be reading this. It is currently 10:32 and I have to work at 11:30, so that means I need to get ready at about 11 or so. So I'm only going to get to read for about half an hour or so this morning. But I should only work for like an hour or two today. Like I'm not 100% sure, but like an hour or two. But then my friend's coming over at 3, and I don't know how long she's gonna be here, so like I don't know how much I'm gonna get to read of this today. But I'd like to get this finished before the I'd like to get this finished before the event tomorrow, which is when I got this. The tour event through Indigo, that's where I got this. That's what I'm doing tomorrow, so I hope to get this finished before the event, just because there's a tiny chance that there could be spoilers at the event. That is my logic. So I'm going to read a little bit. Do not mind if I am out of frame or talking randomly and going on binges about something, or I don't sound too energized because I slept horribly last night and then I'm going to be up all day. So let's go. I'm so excited for this. I have tried to avoid so many spoilers and I don't think I've had any spoilers. So let's go. So for the first chapter was the beginning. We literally started off with Grace and Lucy trying to bring dead animals back to life, because obviously Lucy has kind of the ability to raise the dead kind of. So that's interesting and I'm scared about that. And then the rest of the chapter was Cordelia, and was Cordelia going to essentially a little what would I call it, almost a little group outing at the well, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Essentially the downworlder bar type place that we visited in the first book, for kind of a little outing with Anna and Lucy for the night before her wedding, because she's getting married to James tomorrow, and I literally still don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about the first chapter. I'm just that's the only words that I can describe. It is 10:53, so I can't read more, unfortunately, but I made it 32 pages in, so that's good at least. So I will see you after I get off work. So it is now 1:24. I got off of work at shortly after 12:30, made a smoothie for lunch and drank that, and then as soon as I was about to sit down and start reading, my cousin showed up, and so she hung out with me and my parents for 20 minutes before she had to leave. And now my goal is to get to at least past page 150 before my friend comes over, and then she'll be here till probably around 10 or so, because we literally hang out once a month, but we hang out for 7-8 hours, if not like 2 days. Like, we're never just like, oh yeah, hey, come over for like 2 hours. It's like, no, you're staying for either like 7 to 9 hours, or you're spending the night and you're not leaving until the evening the next day. But I work tomorrow, she has school tomorrow, so it's just gonna be till like, I think when my dad gets off of work and he'll drive her home. But I'm excited. I'm probably going to, like, how this is gonna work, if you haven't noticed already, is like I'll like read a chapter and say my thoughts, or if there's a really big thing that happens in the middle of a chapter, I'll like say what page I'm on and talk about that. If you haven't noticed already, everything is going to be spoilers. Should have mentioned that before, but this is also going to be all over the place. There will be things that will be kept out because I don't suck at remembering things, but like when I'm talking about things to the camera, when I'm still trying to process it, everything, if I'm not talking about it, it leaves the brain. So like, yeah. Goal is like page 150 before my friend comes over. So chapter 2 was pretty much like James and the Merry Thieves kind of having like, I guess what you'd kind of almost consider like a bachelor party type thing-ish. That's like the modern day equivalent, I guess. And then Lucy was talking to Jessie about how like she's kind of trying to bring him back with the help of Grace, which I'm just sitting here like, let's not bring another Blackthorn back from the dead, because like we know how that went in the Dark Artifices, but it'll be a different way, so like maybe it's a good thing, and like we know he has to come back to life somehow. But I'm nervous just as to how. And the next like chapter thing is called Grace 1893 to 1896, and I'm just really curious about this. I'm just like curious about this because like I don't know if I've said this before on this channel, but I absolutely hate Grace. Like, no, like, she can go die in a hole and I'd celebrate. So, maybe this might give me another, like, perspective on Grace and make me like her more, or it will make me hate her more. We'll just have to see. Okay, so this is going to be a rant about a minor inconsistency in the overall, like, plot of not just this book, but other books. So one thing that, I'm still in that, like, Grace 1893 through 1896 portion, and I literally just spent 5 minutes figuring this shit out. So one thing it says is how Grace lives in, like, Blackthorn Manor with Tatiana and Jessie when she's 7 years old. Like, she moves in with them when her parents die, and how the only time they leave is when they go on brief trips to Chiswick House, which as the book says, a vast zone of say in England that Tatiana had wrestled from her brothers 25 years ago. It should be 15, not 25, because in Clockwork Princess, Chiswick House is Benedict Lightwood's house, Tatiana's father, until he dies. That is in 1878. This, 1893, takes place 15 years after it, so it should be 15 years, not 25. Because also, another thing that confirms this is how we know that Jessie is 7 years older than Grace. Grace is being 7 at this point, so Jessie's 14. And we know that when Benedict died, Tatiana was pregnant with Jessie because Tatiana's husband, I can't remember her husband's name, died at the same time. So we know it's 15 years, not 25. So, like, how is that? Because we know that Tatiana didn't kind of essentially, like, fight her brothers for the house until after Benedict dies, and really didn't have to fight. They were kind of just like, whatever. So, like, that time frame doesn't add up. But is it meant to not add up to add an extra, like, thing that, like, Grace doesn't know the truth? Or is it literally just an inconsistency in the timeline? Like, an inconsistency in the text that doesn't correspond with the timeline of the other books. I don't know. I rarely notice little things like this. Like little things I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But I'm gonna continue with this because I literally spent like 5 minutes figuring out those numbers of like, wait, that doesn't add up. So in chapter 3, not a lot happened, but like a lot happened at the same time. Cordelia's dad, Elias, is back in the picture. He's returned for the wedding. We are like about to start the ceremony. Grace is at the wedding and was trying to talk to James, probably about doing something to do with controlling him, because we obviously know that like the bracelet that Grace gave James at the end of Chain of Gold is somehow like going to end up controlling him and all that, because like he won't take the bracelet off, even though he keeps on telling himself like, I'll take the bracelet off, I'll take the bracelet off, like I'll take the bracelet off before the wedding type thing, and he didn't. And like Tatiana showed up, like she somehow, with the help of Belial, I think that is how it's pronounced, who is James's like demon grandfather, like Tatiana and Belial are kind of doing something, and somehow Tatiana was able to like take over. I don't quote me on what the fuck, but somehow Tatiana was able to enter the wedding to talk to Grace, because we saw from Grace's point of view, and essentially it was just kind of not much was said that I can like, not much like stuck out, but like that happened, and it's definitely like between Belial, Tatiana, and Grace, there are villains. Like Grace was saying how it was like she's glad to be working with Lucy because she doesn't have to control Lucy, because Lucy is down for bringing Jesse back to life. So like, yeah. So it is now 2:50 and I have to run and pick up my friend. I'm going on to chapter 6, and so the last thing that's really happened is like Cordelia and James are now like officially married. Obviously we know it's just like a ruse type thing, and they're now like in their own house they live together, which is like one thing that I love about this is a trope that I really enjoy is fake dating, and this is essentially fake dating but the next level up, because it's fake marriage, which like, because like I really just have a feeling this is gonna be a fake marriage, but they're going to well, obviously Cordelia's in love with James, we know this, but I have a feeling that sometime in this marriage James is going to actually realize how he feels about Cordelia, and it's going to go from a fake marriage to a real marriage, which like, fingers crossed, I guess. But I don't really have much more to say. Like the end of chapter 5, James had to help Cordelia out of her wedding dress, and it was like an awkward moment, but it was like, you could have taken it as cute, but at the end now it was like, get out. It's like, why though? You get what I'm saying? Like, why the way you're acting? Like, why just like get out why not say something like, there, I helped you. You may now go back to your own room. Instead of just get out. Like, did he... How do I word this? Did he like what he was doing? Did he like what he was seeing? You know, you get what I'm saying? But I'm going on to chapter 6, page 122. So didn't quite get where I wanted, but still good enough. But yeah, I'll pick the camera up whenever I can. So it is now 8:50 and my friend just left. So I'm going to go to reading, and I don't really know how long I'm going to read and what I'm going to read, like what my goal is. It's really just kind of get as much done as possible at this point. Like, I'm tired. I want to, I have to write a couple reviews for, like, Instagram for, like, this next week, because I have, like, one post for tomorrow that, like, is a cover reveal for an author. So, like, I have that post done, but other than that, I have none, and tomorrow is the event with this, like, with, like, Cassandra Clare, so, like, I can't really do it tomorrow night. Like, I could probably if I get this book finished tonight, but, like, that, and I also have a goal to write, I think it's, like, 3,000 words this week, and I wrote 0, so, yeah. Okay, so we're on chapter 10. I read 4 chapters. And things are starting to get interesting. So there was a, like, dance thing, like a ball, that everyone attended. Not much happened there. There are now these, like, murders that are happening where, so far 2 Shadowhunters have died, and I believe a 3rd has just died, and somehow James is able to, like, have a dream before it happens, like a few hours before it happens, or a few hours after it happens. So it is definitely something linked to Belial, because, like, why wouldn't it be at this point? What else is there? Lucy and Jesse are getting closer, I guess is the word to describe. There was a very, I guess not awkward, but there was a very, I'll use the word awkward for this, a slightly awkward dinner at the Carstairs house. Like, it was a little awkward, a little bit not. It was kind of, like, just okay. Not much else has happened. Like, there's been little things that have happened, but nothing, like, big that I want to share, I guess. But, like, I'm calling it a night. It is 9:45, and again, I want to try to either write an Instagram post or 2, or write my story, as well as watch an episode of a TV show. And I'd also like to start the next book that I'm reading, because there's a series that I want to try to get finished by the end of the week, and there's still, like, 2 books in the series, so, like, I'd like to start, at least read a chapter tonight. So I'll see you in the morning, or whenever I decide to pick this book up again. So it's now 9:47 a.m. the next day, so we're now on Tuesday the 23rd, and I'm going to try to read up until, like, 11 o'clock-ish when I have to get ready for work. And it's the same as yesterday. Work, I don't know if I work anywhere. I start at 11:30. I work anywhere from 12:30 to 2. Just depends on how busy we are and, like, all of that. So my goal is to read as much as I can until I go to work. And again, I'll update as I see fit with the plot of the book. So in chapter 10, not much happened. Well, I should say not much happened, but, like, beginning of chapter 10, James has a nightmare, and, like, Cordelia wakes him up, and that scene was just, like, I need more. And then, like, another Shadowhunter died, and then, because Lucy can talk to ghosts, a different ghost told Lucy, like, hey, look for this, like, here's where you can find the ghost of the Shadowhunter that died. So, like, the Merry Thieves, Lucy, Cordelia, and Anna, I think that was everyone that went, kind of all went to where the ghost of the Shadowhunter was to ask, kind of who killed you? And they kind of got answers, but it's answers that are kind of like, I don't know. All of that. And then we got a kind of like Grace backstory from the year 1897. Yeah, 1897. And essentially what is said is that somehow, don't ask me how, it's not said, one thing is like, Tatiana's like, none the worse for your new gift. Grace wouldn't dare argue otherwise, and only said, "What is this gift, Mama? You have been given power over men. You have the power to make them do whatever you ask, only to please you, to fall in love with you if that is your desire." So now we obviously know that Grace used this gift thing to kind of like control James-ish, kind of like that. And it wouldn't surprise me if she's somehow using this gift on Charles, because she's engaged to Charles. So like, yeah. Okay, so we're going on to chapter 12, and I hate that I'm laughing at what just happened. So, in the last chapter, Cordelia's father, Elias, kind of was a little bit of an asshole to James, and now Elias is dead. And my first reaction was like how it's like they found him this morning, your father is dead, is what like Cordelia's mom said to Cordelia, and my first reaction was, well, he's out of the picture now, and just started laughing like, is that wrong of me? No. So like now we're dealing with that. So now there has been 4 murders. How many fucking more are there gonna be? Like, now I'm like, we're kind of starting to, like, characters are now starting to get a little bit closer to home. Like, first it started off with, like, 2 characters who, like, I think were mentioned in the first book, or maybe, like our characters that I think we knew who they were, or they were, like, the parents of, like, a character we saw in the first book, or even this book. Then it was, a Shadowhunter that our characters interacted with, and now it's Cordelia's father, and now I'm just like, it's slowly getting closer to home, if that makes any sense, like closer to the characters we care about, and now I'm just like, oh wait a minute, is somebody that we know and love going to die? I sure as hell hope not. I'm not ready to be emotionally destroyed, but I've also heard that people are emotionally destroyed by like the ending, or like by this book, so now I'm just like, oh, who is gonna die? I'm not ready, but like, I still have like half an hour before I have to get ready for work, so maybe like 1 or 2 more chapters, hopefully. Hopefully I don't have to go to work in like a mental state of like, oh shit. But I probably will. So I'm now about to go on to chapter 14, but it's 10:55, so I have to get ready for work. I'm praying that I only work for like an hour and a half. Because I really want to read more of this. Like, I'm just like, I need more of it. Like, especially the last chapter, so chapter 13 ended off with Thomas kind of being like, essentially chased by, we're assuming the murderer, but then able to get away, and I'm just like, no, nobody's dying, none of my favorite characters are dying, like, literally, I was like, oh my gosh, no, like, please don't die, and now I'm just like, for sure somebody's dying, and I don't know who I want it to be, but, like, it's like, normally, you just have, like, a character, like, okay, if they died, I wouldn't be sad, and I'm like, if anybody dies, I'm gonna be crying, I'm gonna be, like, sad eating, I'm gonna be crying, like, oh my gosh, but I will see you after I get off of work. So, it's now 1:15, I've been home for a while, I made, like, lunch and all of that, and I'm going to read more, but I have to go to my cousin's sometime this afternoon to help her out, because she kind of like her rest yesterday, so I'm going over to her place, I think like 2:30, but I need to be back here for 5. So like I'm telling her I gotta be home by 4:30, like at the latest. Like I'm literally gonna tell her, like, if I miss this thing, she owes me big time. Cause like I'm literally on the page, I have it open so I don't forget about it, and it says 3 hours and 43 minutes as I'm talking to the camera here. So I'm going to not get this book finished and just like pray to God that there are no spoilers. Usually at events it's not like super spoilery things, because obviously since the book was only released 3 weeks ago, not everybody would have gotten their copy or like all of that yet. So like, but I'm just like, what if there's a spoiler? So I'm just gonna like turn the camera off and try to read literally as much as possible. Okay, so we're going on to part 2, which is going into chapter 17, and and there was, let's just say, a very heavy makeup scene between James and Cordelia that I'm just like yes for. Grace and Lucy are still kind of trying to do their thing, and currently we're kind of trying to see if James is the one murdering everyone, if that makes sense, because he thinks that there's a possibility that he could be controlled by Belial to like sneak out of the house, murder people, go back home, because he has these like the nightmares, and he thinks that there's a possibility the nightmares could be memories. So currently like they're trying to figure out if he's doing that. And then we also, one thing I haven't mentioned is every so often, right before a murder happens, we get a chapter like from the murderer's point of view. It's usually 1 to 2 pages. And for example, this one, how it's like the murder is at this one place, and like how it's like, this is a thing, it's like, even as he reached for his blade, another shadow hunter passed. A young one, tall, brown-haired. This one was alone, watchful, not part of a patrol. He was walking into the golden square, his back straight, head held high. A voice whispered at the back of the killer's mind a name: Thomas Lightwood. No, he no die, please. But like, again, that also kind of confirms like it could be because of like the killer, a voice whispered in the back of the killer's mind a name. So whoever's the murderer knows Thomas, but then also would know Elias, because in the previous killer chapter, we'll call it, Elias recognized the killer. So who's somebody that knows both of them? James. But like, I don't want him, I don't know. I'm probably just spitting shit out of my ass, but I'm now like halfway through the book. I'm like, so like, I'm gonna continue. It's almost 2 o'clock and I think I'm going to my cousin's at like 2:30, so I'm gonna try to read like 1 or 2 more chapters. So we're only a couple pages into chapter 17 and Thomas is alive, thank God. But he's now been arrested because he was like walking down a street and found a shadow hunter dying on this, dying, and he went to go help her and then got caught by like other shadow hunters on patrol. So everyone thinks he's the murderer now. So chapter 18 was our characters visiting the shadow market. And I mean, they're still there going into chapter 19. Thomas and Alistair are kind of arrested. Alistair got arrested for kind of claiming like, yeah, I saw Thomas, I know he didn't like kill the person, which I'm like, I don't know if I believe that. And then at the end of chapter 18, So, like, Lucy was at the Shadow Market. She was talking to Malcolm Fade, because, like, he's the one helping her and Grace try to bring Jesse back. And then when she's done talking to him, she leaves, like, the tent. And then Jesse is just kind of, like, outside the tent waiting for her. And then... and then, don't ask me how this happened. They ended up kissing, and it's, like, it's because, like, he's a ghost, but, like, she can, like, touch him because they're able to kiss. And I'm does that make any sense? I'm still, like, I don't understand her ability, because it's like she's able to, like, call the dead, like, type thing, like, not raise the dead, but, like, call a ghost to her type thing. But then she's also able to, like, touch ghosts if they want to. So I'm just, like, a little confused, but, like, I'm down for Lucy and Jesse, like, even though it's, like, yeah, I ship Lucy and Jesse, but then at the same time, it's just, like, he's dead and a ghost, she's a human. He, if you want to be specific, is either, he's either, like, 17 years old or 20-some years old, however you want to go. Like, he died when he was 17, so he's 17 eternally, but if he was alive, he'd be in his 20s, and Lucy's, like, 16, so it's just, like, in the back of my head, I'm like, that's just a little weird. But, like, it's not. He's technically 17 because he's a ghost. And then even when you have to be like, he's a ghost, it's just like, huh? I still don't know about how my brain feels about this situation, but it's just like, okay, yeah, sure. Going on to chapter 19, I still haven't heard news from my cousin. She's waiting for a call from her doctor. And then she'll be picking me up. So, it's currently almost 2:30, and I'm just now, like, really worried. This I might not even keep in. We're currently on chapter 19. We're currently on chapter 19, and so this is kind of a conversation between, like, Thomas and Alistair. They're kind of, obviously they're in, like, the, like, sanctuary, kind of, like, I guess they're being kept there until the morning, until they can get trialed by the Mortal Sword, and they get into a conversation about, like, about school and all that, and, like, because we went to the Shadowhunter Academy together, for a brief time, and, like, how like, they hated each other at that point, and then they're talking about how, because they spent a short amount of time in Paris together, and how it's, like, the reason, like, Thomas can't hate Alistair is because of, like, how they had, like, the few days in Paris together, and how it's, like, Alistair's like, it is my favorite memory of Paris as well. Thomas is like, you don't have to say that, I know you were there with Charles. Alistair's like, Charles Fairchild? What about him? And it's kind of like, exactly what are you suggesting happened between them? And it's like, I'm not, and then Thomas is like, I'm not suggesting anything, but seeing the way you look at Charles, the way he looks at you, I'm not an idiot, Alistair. I'm not asking. Thomas shook his head, sighing. Nothing with this conversation had been easy. It felt like sort of a foot trace, and now Thomas could see the finish line up ahead. Alistair might prefer to keep lying to himself, but Thomas would not. I suppose I'm asking if you're like me. So, like, that confirms a suspicion that I know many, like, I'm pretty sure, like, most of the people that read Chain of Gold thought is that, like, there's a chance that, like, Thomas isn't straight, and this confirms it, and this also makes it so, like, a ship that I will ship to the day I die is Thomas and Alistair. Why? I don't know, but just, like, from, like, the Paris things and Chain of Gold, I was just like, yeah, sure, they'd be good friends. They'd make a very interesting, like, couple, and just, like, I'll take it. And, like, this confirms that, like, okay, well, yeah, we know that Alistair's gay, and now we know that Thomas is as well. So it's just like, okay, like, can you, like, put all your differences aside and just, please? My brain is going a million miles an hour because my brain's trying to figure out how to word this without it just sounding like a bunch of squealing. So it has been admitted by Thomas and Alistair that they're both like interested in each other like they have been in the past. Like when they were in Paris, they were both interested in each other, and then they ended up kissing. And I'm just like, okay, yes, ship it. Like I mentioned this before, I 100% ship it. Like, it's like, yes, I'll take it. Like I literally, I read the next page and I read the word kiss and I was just like, oh no, like, oh no in a good way. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna be like so happy, like, but like, so they're like, they might end up together, who the hell knows. But like, I'm gonna continue reading. So I'm in the middle of chapter 23 and my cousin's about to pick me up, so I will just literally leave it where I'm at and talk about what I just read when I finish the chapter, I guess, because I don't have the time to talk about it now. But I'm over 500 pages in. There's a tiny chance that I might get it finished before 5 o'clock. Who knows? So it's literally 4:52 and I just got back. The event starts in 7 minutes. And of course, like, my internet right now is acting up. Like, I'm literally currently trying to get my internet going. There it's going. So, like, I'm going to be in the middle of chapter, I don't even know. The middle of chapter 23. I might quickly try to get to chapter 24 because there's, like, 4 pages. And I know I can get that done in 7 minutes. So, like, I'm currently, like, on the edge of my seat just kind of like, oh my gosh, I did get the book finished. I will definitely get it finished before the end of the night, like, for sure, but, like, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm on to chapter 24, and I literally have 2 minutes to say this, but essentially, with the shadow hunters that were murdered, there was this device that we discovered that can move rooms from one shadow hunter to the other. It's like a, I don't even, like, almost like a necromancy type thing, where it can move, one rune to another person, and there's been missing runes on all the shadow hunters, and they're being transferred to Jesse Blackthorn because the only rune he has is the angelic rune, I think, or I don't know which rune, and that's what killed him. I literally there is currently 1 minute and 57 seconds to this, like, literally. So, like, I'm so excited for this, but, like, I'm so excited for this, literally with 1 minute to go, so, like, I will see you after this event, and, like, this is my first ever event, like, author event ever. Yeah, like, yeah, it's online, so it's not as fun as, like, a real one, but still, like, with these online events, because of COVID, this is the only reason I'd be able to do this, because I live in such a small city. I'm talking so fast, because it's literally 53, 52, 51, so I will see you when this is over, which I don't even know how long this is, so tell me how I went from the event that finished at, I think it was like 5:50, to not even 10 minutes later made a $6 purchase for a bookmark and a sticker, like, just randomly that I saw on my Twitter. Like, tell me why I'm like this. I literally, like, somebody that I've been following for a while was like, oh yeah, reminder about, like, a thing that they're doing with, like, their website, that, like, all proceeds for the month of March are going to, like, towards a fundraising thing, and there's also, like, a 50% off code. So I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? I was like, why sure? Like, why not? I have the money in my bank account. Like, this is why I can't save money. I'll randomly just be like, yeah, I have the money. Let's do it. But I'm gonna go. I'm now since 6 o'clock, and all I've had today, do not judge me, is a cup of coffee, half a bag of goldfish crackers, a smoothie, and a piece of gum, which I'm currently having. That's all I've had today. So I'm gonna go make, like, something, I don't know, watch, like, a thing on YouTube probably, and then go back to reading. I do really still want to get this finished tonight. Does that make any sense? I really want to get this finished tonight because I really want to start Lost in the Neverwoods so bad. So yeah. And then okay, so I ate, I watched a YouTube video. It's now 6:36, and I'm going to try to finish this book because I have, I think, around 140 pages, not including the, like, short story, like, bonus story thing at the end, which I might read tonight if I have time. If not, I'd read it tomorrow night because it's, like, not necessary to the story, to my knowledge. It's not like, oh, if you don't read that, you're gonna lose out on a bunch of the plot. But yeah, I think I've talked about everything I want to talk about so far, so let's continue. We have a lot to talk about with chapter 24. Where do we start? Okay, the beginning is a good part. So we're in the final chunk. So we're in the final chunk. So there's a lot of shit going on. So what we last discussed, I guess, book-wise, was that Belial was somehow killing the Shadowhunters, and then the runes were transferring over to Jesse. The reason is because Belial is able to use Jesse as a vessel, essentially, because of things that happened in the past, and so now Belial is able to use Jesse as a vessel to walk around in. That is one of the big things. Another thing is that in the last few chapters we've had somebody that is like a shapeshifter type thing, because there was a thing where Christopher was talking to Matthew and something, and then it was later revealed that no, that Christopher wasn't talking to Matthew, it was somebody else. And we also had this in this chapter, and apparently Belial's working with Lilith. And then also is trying to use these murders to bring Leviathan, which is another greater demon, or just a demon in general, to help him. And I'm just like, that's too many demons. Too many demons. No. Too many demons. Also, one of the most recent murders was almost Charles. Matthew, Cordelia, and James found Charles literally in the nick of time to save him. Which, I wouldn't have been that upset if Charles died. I would have been just oh, well, he wasn't horrible, but, all of that. And so now I'm just, so we have, a fight going on at the Institute with, a thing that has, I don't even know, a sea serpent type thing, with, a bunch of people, too many people to name names. I'd forget 50 people's names, it feels like. And so I'm just kind of sitting here just I'm I don't mentally know if I can continue, because it's because also I don't know if Lilith is working with Belial or not, because this line that says, Lilith, Belial said bitterly, of course I should have known. So it's is she even working with him, or is she just fucking up her own shit thing? Obviously we know we hate Lilith. Mortal Instruments, we don't like her. I think we have four more chapters. So wish me luck. Okay, we're chapter 27, I think. I've lost track. And I don't understand how, but somehow Jesse got brought back to life. Because how Lucy can command the dead, she commanded him back to life. And maybe it was because he got possessed, I guess possessed by a greater demon. Maybe that had some sort of influence, because the greater demon didn't have influence on him anymore that Lucy was able to. But I don't know. I don't like this. Don't get me wrong, I like that Jesse's back to life, but I'm also confused on how it happened, and scared it's not going to be permanent, and just overall I'm just is this a good idea? I don't know, but I'm gonna continue this. I finished the book, and I am lost for thought. So the ending. Okay, the ending, we're gonna jump around here a little bit. So the ending, Jesse came back to life, and Jesse and Malcolm Fade essentially kidnapped Lucy, essentially. And we don't know where she is at the end of this book. James and Cordelia were having a moment, and then there was a knock on the door. James told Cordelia to go upstairs and was like, yeah, we'll continue this, like, we'll continue this after. James thought it was Will, like, all of that. It was Grace. James realized that Grace was, like, controlling him. And when he sent Grace away, and when he went back upstairs to look for Cordelia, she's missing. Where did Cordelia go, you may ask? She went to Matthew's. And now Cordelia and Matthew are on a train to Paris together. And that's pretty much where we left off, and then the epilogue is like, I don't even know how to describe it. So, like, yeah. That is a cliffhanger that is just, like, really good. And one that I'm just like, wait a damn minute. What? Like, a lot of the things in this book, my brain is just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand. But I'm just like, there's so much going on, and like, that's how my brain feels right now. But I absolutely love this book. I'm going to do an entire review / book talk on this book. So that will be linked in the iCard. I think it's on this side and in the description. I would do the review at the end of this, but I exported like half the footage already, and it's already like half an hour long. So yeah, it's probably gonna be like an hour-long video already. So the review, I will do that a different day and all of that. But I hope you enjoyed this video with how chaotic it is. And I thank you for sticking around with this crazy video. And I left out so much of this book, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!